Hi everybody, this is Angelo Quinones and you reach I Ministries. I Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. Habiblas, by the way, post pai. Habiblas means the Bible and the book of the genealogy of Jesus, Matthew chapter 1 verse 1. Post pai means in modern Greek, how's it going? And yasas and yasu actually means hello. And in a formal way. So that's just the deal. That's nuktas here in the Philippines. In Biblical Greek, that's nighttime. Niktas actually, kalinikta actually is good night in modern Greek. Anyway, again, my name is Angelo. Let's pray for a wonderful study according to the Greek this time. Okay, so this is part 2 of the rich man in Sheol. And Lazarus actually in Sheol, in the heart, in the middle, the core, the center, in the center of this globe. This is part 2. This is the Greek side of things. So, holy and righteous God, we come to you praising your holy name because it is great and you are great. And like I said, Father, to you before, I was very pleased that I found that in the Bible, in Jeremiah, in studying your book of Jeremiah in the Bible. And it was wonderful to find that the way I was praying, for your name is great and you are great, is in the scriptures. So that's a wonderful thing. So I just pray, nevertheless, that you will forgive my sins, oh my God, that you will wash these sins away by the precious blood of Jesus Christ, our Lord, your dear Son, in whom you were very, very well pleased when he was here. He did not sin, not one sin. It's just amazing that we see that he was without sin, because everybody has sinned and come short of your glory, of your praise, of him or her. So we have a pure and holy Savior. And we thank you for all things. I thank you for the time of study, the freedom to study here in the Philippines. And having been born in the United States of America so long ago, Lord, you do have a sense of humor relocating people. So we just thank you for all things, both spiritual and physical, and pray that you multiply the study, that you bless it to the hearts of each individual, as we deal with the solemn doctrine and truth of eternal torture and eternal life at the same time. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, guys, this is the coup de grace and this is the key. Like I said, this is a very solemn doctrine that's recorded in the Bible, but this doctrine is true. Okay, now we're going to look at the Greek. Now, I don't want to pull apart the flower of the teaching. Okay, the beauty of the teaching of God's justice and God's mercy. Okay, because Lazarus did not deserve, and I didn't point this out. Lazarus was also a sinner. I don't care if he was a beggar. I don't care if he was sick. I do care, but I'm just saying it doesn't make any difference to me. They both were sinners. Okay, God rejected one and saved the other, but both of them deserved to go into torment. Now, one actually went into torment, and the other one went into paradise, purely and only by the grace of God. That is never pointed out. I never heard a study on Luke chapter 16 where it is said that Lazarus did not deserve to be in Abraham's bosom. He does not deserve to go there. Okay? Now, the rich man deserved his lot in Sheol, if you will, right? He deserved to go there. Now, people deserve to go to hell, but no one ever deserves to go to heaven or to have eternal life, if you will. This is the Greek. Now, I'm going to be skipping the ands and the articles, and suffice this to say, because it's found thousands of times, especially the article. It's found more than 10,000 times in the Greek New Testament. And every single one of the inflections are found and recorded in the Greek New Testament. Over 10,000 times the article is found. Like Pound says, the article is your friend. Okay, so it's found a lot. So why talk about it a lot of times? It just only save us time to not talk about the article after I speak about it now. And Kai can be translated into and, both, even, also, etc. Okay, both. I think I said both. I'm not sure. So, since they're found thousands of times, I'm not gonna really mention it at all after I say this. Okay, about the article. The article paradigm goes like this: ha he ta, tu tes tu, okay, to te to, and tan tain ta. Those are the 12 articles in the singular. And then you have hoi hai ta, ta with an alpha this time, ton ton ton, tois tais tois, and tus tas ta. All those articles are found in the plural part of the paradigm. Paradigm means model, okay, among other things. Is too deep for tears philosophically, but we're not going to get into that. Okay, now, so I just wanted to say that the article can be translated not only into the, okay, the article is a weak demonstrative. It could be translated as a pronoun, that one. It could be translated on the, almost like a preposition. Okay, so the article is very, very flexible. Dan Wallace calls it, says about it that it's elastic, and it surely is. Okay, so just because something doesn't have an article, just because a noun doesn't have an article, doesn't mean it's not definite. And so that's what Jehovah's Witnesses have to understand, that the article is much more than a lazy the in English. It's much more rich in Greek. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Now let's get into the Greek. Let's get behind the stage, okay, of Luke chapter 16 according to the language. And indeed, we're looking behind the stage of life, right into the core of the earth. And the Bible never looked at it in this way before. Okay, a Sheol was never depicted. There's people that came from Sheol, especially Shemuel, according to verse 13 of chapter 28 of the book of First Shemuel, which is known as First Kings and some Greek Septuagints. You have First, Second Kings, and Second and Third Kings, not Samuel in some Greek LXXs. So Jesus pulls back the curtain like no one ever does before in the Bible, and talks about a true story. Now I want to say just right off the bat, so I guess that's punctiliar, one time, action, you understand? The word for parable, and I'm going to let you look at the word for parable, which is found and recorded in another book of the Bible, and also in this book, but I have Matthew chapter 13 and around verse 3, something like that, queued up. So let's look at it. And it's right here recorded. Now there's a preposition and someplace over here. Let me see. Here goes. He spoke to them in parables. Now the word for parable is parabalais here in the dative, in parables. Okay, and I think that is in the dative, because and we'll take the dative case. This is not an infinitive. So, and does not mean here, when or while. It means in here, and it's taking the dative like it always does in this situation. So the ice is telling me that this is a feminine word in the plural. Okay, parabalais, spelled out P alpha rho, alpha beta, nowadays called beta, omicron, nowadays called omicron, lambda, alpha, iota, and final sigma, with a circumflex over the iota. He spoke to them in parables. Now, this Greek word is not found in the complete chapter, in all of the chapter of Luke, chapter 16. Now, it's found in, I believe, in chapter 15, the chapter before, but that's another chapter, okay? It doesn't have nothing to do, okay, with this particular story. The lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. That's in the previous chapter, not in this one. And there's no Greek word that means parable here, okay, like recorded in the text that we saw earlier in Matthew chapter 13. Okay? So this is not a parable. This is a true life story that Jesus knew about, because he is the creator of Sheol. There's another thing that's not pointed out. The one that tells the story is actually the creator of Sheol. God, okay, created all things through Logos. Okay? Logos was the intermediate agent of creation. And, you know, that's one thing that we have to understand about Sheol, that he is the creator of Sheol. And the nature of Sheol is that it's a place of punishment and torture. Now, okay. However, at the time of Jesus, 2,000 years ago, okay, before he was resurrected from Thon Nekron, from the dead ones, if you will, there was only there was two compartments. Now there's only one compartment. Before there was two, and Jesus lifts up the curtain on the two compartments, west Sheol and east Sheol, if you like, or torment in Sheol, and paradise in Sheol. As a matter of fact, paradise in Greek, like in the dative paradiso, you know, in paradise, right? Today you shall be with me in paradise, paradiso. That means garden or park. So it was a very beautiful place to be in, even for thousands of recorded years. Very beautiful place to be in, paradise. Today you shall be with me in paradiso, paradise, the garden, the park. Okay, but the other side of the Sheol, west Sheol, or torture in Sheol, was nothing like that at all. It was a place of doom and gloom. And if you go there, you know that you're going to be in a lake of fire. Okay, you know you're going to have some kind of punishment that's going to be torturous. Okay, that, you know, those who knew will be beaten with many stripes. I understand that, but nevertheless, Sheol shall be cast into the lake of fire. Knowing all of this, okay, let's get into the Greek. It says over here, amen. There's no article here, so this is translated into anthropos. Anthropos. Okay, it's spelled out alpha nu, theta, nowadays called theta. Rho, omega, p, omicron, and final sigma. The postpositive de is here, so that's to be translated first. Now, okay, amen. De is postpositive, so spelled out de, or delta, and epsilon. De is used here. Certain is tis in Greek, tis, or tau, nowadays called tough, like I'm tough man, iota, and final sigma. Okay, there was. Okay, there was. Now, this is very easy. This is a finite verb, okay, that's chained to the subject. Okay, so that's why it's finite. And so verbal nouns like infinites, they're infinite verbs. Okay, this is a finite verb, defective, if you will. It's an imperfect in the imperfect structure, spelled out eta and ni. And, in biblical Greek, it'll be eta and nu. This is in the imperfect tense. This is translated was 3 times in John 1:1. And I believe, let me see how many times it's recorded in John 1:2. The same was in the beginning with God. So it's used 1 time in John 1:2. JW told me in the debate, he was telling everybody else, he's saying, there isn't another verse like John 1:1, end quote. Okay, I say to him now, did you ever read John 1:2? It's very much like, John 1:1. It's written probably for a different reason, but it's very similar. There's similar words there recorded in John 1, chapter 1, verse 2. And similar words to that of the pool of 17 Greek words found and recorded in John 1:1. Okay, was is there. Logos is not there, but you have the demonstrative pronoun there. I believe hutas is there, and the antecedent is logos there anyway in verse 1. So, but then you have the prepositional phrase. You have prostantean. The same was with God, prostantean. So that's just it. And you have I think you have NRK also there. But let's get back to this, okay? So anus here is in the imperfect tense. The imperfect tense is always continuous. Okay, always continuous. Just like participles are always continuous, and then you have this, you have subjunctives and infinitives that are continuous. I mean, you have words that are in the continuous, which is very hard to bring out in English, by the way. But it says over here, certain tis, there was, ain, and that's in the third person there. From Amy, by the way. Amy is a me verb, like didomi, titemi, like that, Rich, and this is plusios. It's the same Greek word found and recorded for Jesus being rich before he came to earth. Who, though he was rich, for your sake he became poor, that you, through his poverty, meaning Christ's poverty, you, the cook, might become rich, may be made rich, or whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just it. So it's not wrong to be rich, even though that was spiritual richness that we were talking about when we were talking about logos. Okay? Even though the cattle on 1,000 hills are his. Okay? But that came after a creation. But he was rich. Okay? So that's just it. He had all of the equalities of deity. He ransacks, the equalities. Okay, you understand? All of it, all of them. So that's just it. So he was logos, and that was nature 1 or nature A, never casting it aside, but he limited the manifestation of his deity in the glory and in behavior. Actually, he did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. You understand what I'm saying? Now let's get back to this. So let's get rid of this or that. Okay, hutas and ekenas. Rich, plusios, spelled out P. Sorry about that, guys. P P lambda omicron upsilon sigma iota omicron and sigma, and that's the word for rich, a rich man. And I already mentioned about Kai and ants, he was clothed. It says he was clothed in. So you have the epsilon nu epsilon delta iota delta upsilon sigma kappa epsilon tau omicron. Okay, from N dedusco. Spelled out epsilon nu delta iota upsilon. Nowadays called epsilon sigma, and sigma means it's synchronized, by the way. Kappa and omega. So the dedusk, right? That's and that ta is it's just like a genita. That's in the passive. That's the middle passive. A personal ending, as a matter of fact. Okay, but that's from the secondary middle passive side of the chart, and not primary. That's a secondary personal ending. Secondary middle passive personal ending ta, like in the genita, like I said before. That's what it is. So he was clothed. So he was clothed. It says over here purple. So it was like a king. He was dressed like a king. Purple is paru. Okay, Parufuran. So Porphuran. I'm not looking at the transliteration, I'm just doing it myself. That's basically what it says down there also. And so it's spelled out P omicron rho phi upsilon, now they call epsilon rho alpha nu. He was dressed in purple. Okay, Greek word kai, and then translate it into and fine linen. I mean, this guy busan for fine linen. So that's a beta. Now they call beta upsilon sigma omicron nu omicron ni, and fine linen. I mean, so you can see the picture. This guy was rich. He dressed lavishly, purple, fine linen. I mean, you could probably see him out the window. I mean, because he's probably eating in his house. He was probably eating in his house all the time that Lazarus was outside, but he made sure that Lazarus could see him and everybody else could see him. I mean, he was dressed like a king. I mean, that's just the deal. Purple is the color in the Bible of royalty. Okay? Let's check this out. It says making good cheer. Making good cheer. Now this is a present participle middle passive construction. It's continuous. This is a participle. Okay. This is not an adjective. Found and recorded for weeping and gnashing of teeth. Last verse of chapter 24. Okay, kappa, what is 24? Kappa, delta, something like that. Is delta, no, epsilon is 5 delta. That's fine. The weeping and gnashing of teeth are adjectives there recorded in chapter 24 of Matthew. This is not that. This is a continuous thing. This is a continuous party that this guy had going on. You understand what I'm saying? It's brought out here in the Greek. Making good cheer. Making good cheer. it says over here, youth, and then rai na menas, and your men there is the participial morpheme. Okay, it's a participial morpheme in the masculine. Okay, yeah, mena in the masculine side of the chart, mene in the feminine side of the chart. So when you see men, and it's not a personal ending, and you know it's not a personal ending because of the case ending. You know, there's a case ending here. Because participles have case endings. Okay, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. Like in own, you know, that is shaved off. Or like ha'on, right? Present participle active. But making good cheer here is again is you you've rai na menas. Okay, and so that's just it. So this is nominative. Okay, so the sigma is a nominative case ending. And so that's just the deal. And so this is a continuous thing. Making good cheer. You know, let us drink and be merry, for tomorrow we die. And it's just that sort of attitude that people who had no faith they were depicted like that by the Apostle Paul. You know, so that's just it now. It goes on to say, evil companion corrupt good manners in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. But it goes on to say, let me see where I'm at. Making good cheer, and then it says every day, kath, and that's every here. That's translated into every, and day is meran. So you got kath over here, or kata. Okay, kath. The original is a kappa alpha tau alpha, but it's aspirated. So instead of kath is kath because of the upcoming word, you know. And then you have meran, which is day. Every day, this guy was making good cheer. I mean, every day. It was Mardi Gras. Okay? Mardi Gras. I was looking at the honeymooners. I'm not looking at it because it's on my thumb drive, so it's like I like to take a break from time to time. And there was a double crandom. You know, there was a good crandom, you know, Ralph. And if you want to call him good, okay. And then you had an evil crandom, a gangster. Also, he was happy because he was the evil crandom, because he had a plan to knock off Ralph, and then the gang that was looking for him would think he's dead, and then he could go to South America. And he said it'll be a Mardi Gras for the rest of my life. That's what we're looking at here, you know. That's what we're looking at here. That he desired to do that. He couldn't get to that point, actually, in the story. But this man was living like that until he died. Okay? He was living every day, dressed in purple, fine linen, and on it goes. Okay? And making good cheer every day. That's the thing. It was an everyday thing. It was continuous, as a matter of fact. You understand what I'm saying? He lived like that. Okay. Every day in splendor. It says over here. In splendor. Lampros. Okay, let's check out the meaning of lampros. Now let's check out the definition of this word for splendor. Definition. It says over here, okay, majestic. What does it say over here with my fading magnifying glass? Magnificently, it says over here. Okay. Sumptuously. Okay. I mean, splendidly. Okay. From lampros, it says over here, which means let me see, it says brilliantly, right? Brilliantly. My magnifying glass is very foggy, i.e. figuratively, okay, luxuriously, okay. So I mean, this guy had it all. He had clothes. He had. Now listen, it wasn't a sin to be rich. The love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. You understand what I'm saying? The love of it. It's just, I mean, Abraham was rich. David was rich. Solomon was rich. I mean, Abraham had an army. Okay, he had an army. He was rich. He had cattle. He had sheep. He had a whole bunch of stuff. And Solomon was very rich, and David also. Okay. And people in the New Testament, okay, some of them anyway, sold their riches, sold their possessions. They had still left over, but they sold their some of their possessions and to actually help the poor saints. And you see that recorded in Praxis Apostoloni Acts of the Apostles chapter 4. Two people try to copy that, okay, but they didn't go all the way. They lied to God, right? They brought the money to the feet of Peter, lying, and that's why they died at the feet of Peter. That's not brought out also, okay? A lot. And never. The position of their death was because they lied in the same position. So that's why people are not killed like that, okay, in the church, okay, because you don't see, I mean, I hope not, I mean, you don't see people lying, okay, outwardly saying, well, this is all the money at the feet of anybody. Okay, so I mean, they're not apostles. Nobody's an apostle nowadays in the kirk anyway. That gift is gone. Okay, so that's just it. Okay, so you see the mugshot of the rich man in Sheol. You see his MO. You see his profile. You understand what I'm saying? It's not impressive, because those things don't last. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is that you will come to see that he didn't share what he was eating with Lazarus, okay, and that he didn't give glory to God. You don't have to dress like that. Not every day. I mean, you could put on something nice on a special occasion, but every day you're gonna be like that, dressing in purple and fine linen and stuff like that, and leaving somebody that's hungry outside of the gates. Come on, man. No, that's not with God. You understand what I'm saying? Let's go to verse. Now, there's other verses here, so I'm just guessing this is verse 20. Okay. It says over here, a poor man now. Okay, so this is patochas. Okay, so P tau omega chi omicron and sigma. How you say this again? Patochas, and that means poor. Patochas. and now you translate that. That's supposed positive. You translate that first. Okay, and then it says certain. Okay, a tis over here, certain, and then named. This wasn't there in verse 19, because who cares about the name of the rich man anyway? Who cares? See, that's what it means, especially in a song. Somebody was just asking me, okay, now I want to check out my phone because I don't want it to die down, because if it dies down, it's going to destroy my commentary. So I still have some time left over. Praise God. Time is my mortal enemy. All right. Now, and she happens to be my best friend. One of my best friends, anyway, is her and Gilberto. She said, okay, she doesn't understand, and it's hard to understand how there's no memory of God with for this individual. God doesn't remember the wicked, like you know what I mean. There's no memory of them in Sheol. Well, this is what it means. This is what it means. Deliberately, God the Father instructed, the Lord Jesus Christ, to actually not record the man's name in the story. Why? There's no memory. It's just, listen, Lazarus is here recorded, the name is here recorded. But the memory of the rich man, why even bother? You didn't care about Lazarus. The one that despised begging will actually beg here in the story for water. He didn't get it, but it's kind of strange that Lazarus was begging at the gate of this man, if you want to call him that. You know what I mean? I mean, the chief end of man is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. Well, he wasn't glorifying God in purple. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't helping Lazarus at all. So he was a punk. So why even bother to record his name? That's what it means, that the memory of the wicked will not be. You know what I'm saying? The wicked will not be remembered. That's what it means. Sometimes the Lord will point out names and stuff like that, in the stuff of God, the Bible. But I mean, we have to know certain names. But I mean, this is deliberate. It's just like God is not even caring that He's recorded here, meaning the name anyway. Okay, certain tis, name. But over here, or I should have said over there, but over here, Lazarus is recorded. Anamati, and that's in the dative neuter singular. Okay, anamasi actually will be in the plural, but that's names. Okay, but it is anamati. You see the Yoda there as the case ending, case morpheme for the dative, the case of interest, and it's not subscribed underneath the tau. Okay, now for people who are not seeing this, in the dative case is like he lied to God, right? In another scripture, he lied to God, or they lied to God. That's in the dative. Okay, that's in the dative case. So to point that out, in some structures, you will use an iota to point that out in the dative case, like arche, whatever the case may be, iota. You understand? So you can't write an iota underneath the tau, because that's a consonant. You can only have it underneath the alpha, the eta, and the omega, like that. You understand what I'm saying? To point out the dative, that's called in proper diphthong, by the way. And iota subscript is written underneath those letters. And let me see, certain named, it says over here, named. Okay, na mati, named. And this is his name recorded. Isn't that beautiful? Lazarus. Now you're actually peeking into the small peak, not a vast look like Romans chapter 16, where you have a whole bunch of names, according to what's in the Lamb's Book of Life. But this man is in the Lamb's Book of Life, and so you're taking a peek at one of the saved, one of the persons that are saved in that book. You see what I'm saying? Lazarus, spelled out capital on that looks like an incomplete capital A. What is that? Alpha, Zeta. You could say it Zeta straight Z or DZ. Check with your teacher. And then you have Alpha, Rho, Omicron, and final Sigma. La Zaras. La Zaras. La Zaras. La Zaras. La Zaras. You understand what I'm saying? Lazarus. He's mentioned here was laid. Okay, this is a pluperfect construction, very rare in the New Testament. Was laid, and you have a few of those uses in the pool of the pluperfect, and this has already happened. Okay. So that's just to deal with the pluperfect there. Let me see over here. Where am I at? It says over here at. Okay, so that's pros. Okay, so pros is taking the accusative. Okay, and it always does, as a matter of fact. Proston. Okay, where is this? Proston. Proston, and the word for gate. Pulona. Pulona for gate. Pulona. Pulona. Now, if you were speaking like a Greek, it was Pulona. Pulona, like that. Like, that's just the deal. Now he couldn't even walk. That's not pointed out. He couldn't walk. He was taken. He was laid at the gate. He couldn't even walk. Now with all those saws, the poor man couldn't walk. I mean, I know what that means. I mean, in a sense, because when these feet of mine or the knees get inflamed because of some inflammation, man, agony. And you're going to see that word agony, I'm telling you. And it's just like somebody said to me on Messenger, Angelo, you sound like you're in agony. And I was. I mean, I was crying. I was so much in pain. Okay? Agony is going to be brought forth later on in the Greek here. Okay? He was laid at the, okay, ton. That's one of the articles there, like I said before. A gate, okay, pulona, at the gate of him, meaning of the rich man, autu. Now that would be the gate of him. You have to look at the whole context. He was laid at the gate of him. I mean, that could be the genitive possession of the genitive place. Okay. So, and it says over here, being full of sores. Now, this is in the perfect tense. In the perfect tense, I believe. This is a perfect participle. Middle passive construction, though. Let's look at this. So the kappa there is pointing out, I believe is pointing out the perfect tense. Okay, the perfect tense, though. El kao, this is the Omicron contract verb. let me see here. The men, okay. The men is pointing out the participial is this a participial morphine from morphe, which means shape or form. Case ending there is it's just like the other word that we saw. Okay. Okay, this is the middle, obviously middle passive because of the morphine, men. Okay. So that's just the deal. And, but kao, that's the stem though, that kappa though. So that's not really pointing out the perfect, I don't think anyway. Anyway, so over here we have Anne translating Kai. Okay, desiring, and that's another participle, so present participle active, and the own is pointing that out. Okay, it's present participle active form own, just like nu and tau is also, and omicron tau is also in the participial morphine pool, and epithumon, and desiring. So this is a continuous thing. This poor man was desiring continuously. This is the deal. This is the contrast. What we have here recorded. You have, okay, this bastard of a man, the rich man. Okay, continuously living in purple, continuously living in cheer and in splendor, and contrast that with Lazarus, and he was living continuously. He was desiring. He was hungry continuously. He was unable to walk. He had sores continuously. He died of them, as a matter of fact, you know. It was a continuous, pitiful existence compared to the rich man that's found and recorded here and living that he lived in splendor. I mean, it's just... and God is going to have it up to here with that rich man because he didn't share what he had with Lazarus, and he didn't even take him in the house to take care of him, like the Good Samaritan took care of the man that was left half dead. He didn't do that. Meaning this rich man, just not even named. Not even named. God says, why bother, remembering his name? He didn't do anything worth being remembered. He was desiring, to be fed. And chartazo, is the present form. And aorist neuter, aorist infinitive is here. To be fed. Now, let's check out the infinitive morphine. Infinitive morphine is nigh there. Nigh. Nu alpha iota. You have here, charta sthenai. Be fed. Be fed. It's in a passive. So he couldn't even feed himself. From that falling, the crumbs that were falling, right? Dawn. And you see how that is translating dawn. I mean, it's not the cheap dumb, man. That's not Greek. You're actually, Jehovah's Witnesses that don't understand the article, they're actually not understanding the genius of the article. Okay, when you're limiting, and they limit things and persons. They limit Jesus as the only being our Lord and not God. Okay, they do that when they study. Even call it that. 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 6. They're straitjacketing Jesus into being only Lord and not God. Well, if you do that, you're straitjacketing God the Father into being God and not even Lord. So the Tetragrammaton doesn't apply to the Father, according to that scenario that the witnesses use. You understand what I'm saying? Wrongly so, twisting the scriptures to their own destruction. And we're learning, but never arriving at the truth. Because they do twist Paul, like Peter says in his second epistle. You understand what I'm saying? So over here, that translates ton here, the genitive. Genitive. Neuter or plural, because ton is all across the board in the article paradigm. Okay, for all of the genders. Falling, and that's a present participle active. Okay, and you see the neutral there, or actually the the neutral there, and then the genitive, I believe, the genitive case ending, the omega nu. So that's a very strange looking participle, because the omega nu is there. You would think that's active, but it's like that is being used for the active participial morpheme, but it's not. So you know what I mean? It's not like a huparcon or labon or like that, so that's not the deal. That's a genitive case ending. The nu and a tau is used for the active participial morpheme. Okay, and then the connecting vowel omicron before the nu there, and so that's just it. So what is this over here? Piptanton for falling. Okay, and talking about the crumbs from the is abates, from the, okay, from the table, okay, prapezes, and that's probably the genitive of place of the, and that's two. There's a lot of uses. There's a lot of uses of the genitive. It's the richest of all the cases, and so sometimes you have to sit down and really look at it, and sometimes you don't, but sometimes you do though. A rich man, okay, plusias, a rich man's. It doesn't even name him again, but it says aula, but, and that's how I pronounce it, guys. Even, and that's translating kai. The, and that's hoi, and that's in the plural nominative though. And whatever's coming up will be plural nominative, right? Dogs. And so you have kunes. Kunes. So that's just it there. Kunes. And that's just it. Third declension. What? There. Epsilon and sigma being used for that sort of situation. Coming, and that's a present participle middle passive, so you're gonna see men there probably. You see that er chamenoi, right? And this is nominative. The oi is pointing that out in the plural, like hoi, like the article, and masculine. See? Well, the dogs were coming and were licking, and that's a continuous thing. IA, and that's a imperfect indicative active. Okay, epe lechan, epe lechan, and that's just the deal. And so that's just it. So you have the augment not after the, not attached to the preposition apa or op. It would be if it was attached to it. It's not attached to it. It's attached to the it's an augment, and that's begins the upcoming word. Okay, lechan. Okay, so the construction is really lechan. Okay, apa lechan, if you will, and then the omicron obviously was dropped off and added added to the word, just you know, style wise. So licking his saws. Source, so elche for saws. I mean, this is pitiful. This is a noun, an accusative neuter plural construction, and so that's of him, and so. I mean, this is describing his condition, and so you see the stark difference between this man and the rich man's existence. I mean, the rich man's existence was all splendor, continuously so, living in good cheer, and dressing in purple. I mean, this man wasn't dressed in purple. This man was dressed in sores. The poor man. Batochas, the poor man. The dogs had to, help him. And yeah, this man is probably living with his 5 brothers that he would mention here recorded in the chapter. Probably living with his brothers. His father probably died, because he doesn't say I have a father and 5 brothers. So he probably died, the father, and left the house to them, and they did not glorify not glorify, but he did not honor his father's name by living like that. I'm just saying his father probably died because it doesn't mention his father. When he was asking Abraham to actually send Lazarus to his 5 brothers, so they wouldn't be in that in the same place that he was. So he doesn't mention his father. He mentions his father, but he doesn't say to go to his father. Anyway, so that's just the deal. Now, this is just pitiful. It really is. And that came to pass. Okay, and that's Egenetah, the famous Egenetah. Okay, with that middle passive personal ending ta there. Egenetah. From, Ginomai. And this is an omai verb. Okay. Now, Oh my word. Okay. So you have to check. Okay, this is one of those words that you have to be careful with these words in Greek sometimes. Oh my word doesn't necessarily mean that it's in the passive. Okay, you have to be careful with that. Okay. So sometimes an oh my word is the middle of passive form is active in meaning, so we have to be careful with that. Okay. So sometimes Jehovah's Witnesses say it was a passive. Yeah, but you have to be careful. The formula is that though middle and passive form is middle passive form is active in meaning. Careful with the opponent words like oh my in the present. You understand what I'm saying? So just be careful with that. Okay, it came to pass. It came to pass, then died. It says over here, then is de, it died. Okay, Abathanin. Okay, Abathanin, and this here, okay, is a A-N-A. This is an aorist. This is an aorist. This is an aorist infinitive. That's what the N is standing for. Infinitive active. So you have the ain here, okay, which is your infinitive morpheme. For a second. Okay, let's get to the Greek. Okay, so we come now to then died. Okay, and that word is ANA. What does that mean? An aorist infinitive active construction. Now this is the tricky part of this. Okay, and I'm gonna have to leave you guys, and then I'll come back after I charge my phone, because the study already stopped, and I'm recording. Actually, this is part 2, and then I'll be at part 3. Today's right. Alpha nu alpha. This is a aorist infinitive active construction, but this is the problem. How do you tell? Okay, the epsilon iota nu is used as an infinitive morpheme for the present also. So this is what's called an aorist, second aorist. Okay, second aorist, and not in the present. So the epsilon iota nu can throw you off. You might be thinking this is in the present tense. Okay, it's not in the present tense. Okay, this is in the aorist tense. It's the second aorist. So that's just the deal. Apathanin. And so that's just it. Now, let me see if I can continue to go here and just speak about this. Then died. Now, let me see. Now, you would think that Lazarus would die first. Okay. Then died, and let me see. Let me see. Then died the poor. Okay, so he died first. You would think because he was very sick. Okay, the is tan there. Okay, a poor man. Okay, Batachan. Batachan, that's in the case. The poor man died, unfortunately, and Greek word kai was carried away. Okay, was carried away. So that's epe. That's augment epsilon there. Ape nech fe nai. So this looks like an infinitive also, and it is. And so the nigh is there. Okay, nigh is there. And so that's just a deal. So this is an aorist infinitive passive. You got the theta eta there. Okay. And from apafero. So that's just the deal. He was carried away by the angels. Okay, he was carried away by the angels. The angels, it says he, and that's auton, the direct object of the carrying, if you will, by, and that's hupa, and hupa is taking the genitive, the angels, more than one angel. Okay, angelon, he was carried away by the angels. Okay, ton angelon, carried away by the angels. Let me just say something right off the bat. Okay, when we die, a good clue, I mean, we have to believe what we believe, but a good clue that we are saved is when the angels tell us, do not fear. Because the angels are always saying to the redeemed, do not fear about this, do not fear about that. The visitations could be very scary. Okay? They're going to say, do not fear. They didn't say it to the people that were keeping the tomb, do not be afraid. No, they said it they said that to the ladies. So that's a good clue that if the angels are carrying you and they're not telling you anything, that might be, I'll put it in the subjunctive, okay, that might be a very bad thing. But if they're carrying you, and if they're carrying me, and they say not to fear, well, just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. To be absent with the body is to be present with the Lord. Okay? Aorist infinitive right there, a one-time action, by the way. Okay? To be absent with the body is to be present with the Lord. To be with Jesus, which is far better. So Jesus is the Tantean of the LXX recorded in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The Jehovah's Witnesses are always witching and whining and complaining about, this and that, because Tantean. Well, guess what? Jesus is also called Tantean in the Bible, according to the Greek of the Old Testament. You understand what I'm saying? He's called Tantean there. So why not believe that he's God? Okay? You believe that Tantean is God in John 1:1b. You do well. The demons also believe and tremble. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just it. So the angels carried, okay, Lazarus, because he's a spirit being. He was a spirit being after death only. And by the way, I thought that was annihilation. You said there's annihilation? Well, I don't see any annihilation. I said he's being carried by the angels to the presence of Abraham. And remember, the word for parable is not recorded here. This is not a parable, guys, okay? You understand what I'm saying? So Jehovah's Witnesses were waxing eloquence in sort of a repentance sort of speech. Oh, we're no longer gonna call something a parable when it's not a parable. Yeah, why you keep on doing it? That's not revival to me. You do the same things. You cheat, you lie, you squeal. Lip service. Lip service. That's what it is. Into the, and that's ace, okay, and to, okay. Be careful with ace. Okay, be careful with ace. Okay. I mean, because it means something completely different. Okay. In the with an articular infinitive. So be very careful with that. Okay. Be careful with and also. Jehovah's Witness told me Okay, this is just for free. En means in. That's what it only means. In. It doesn't mean by. So you can't say that he was raised by the Spirit. It doesn't mean that. Even though they translate pneumati into by the Spirit, if they were translating anything according to their version of, Romans chapter 8, verse 14, rightly so. But be careful with en. The preposition en is not here. Because that means when it's taken an articular, infinitive, it means it could be translated into when or while. Come on, man. Be careful with that. Be careful. En means in, and that's it. Come on. Ace, ha. So that's not the deal there. I don't want that. Into, ace and ton. Into the bosom or the chest, kolpon. That's the same word recorded in John 1:18. Who's in the bosom of the Father? Like that. So that's just the deal. The same Greek word found there for the bosom of God the Father. The bosom. Kolpon, kappa, omicron, lambda, p, omicron, nu. That p is incidentally typifying a Greek structure, a temple of Abraham. So that's just it. Alpha, beta, rho, alpha, mu. So that's just it. Abraham. This is Abraham. This is Abraham, the one that was married to Sarah, father of a multitude, like that, from Ur of the Chaldees. So this is him. There's no other Abraham in the Bible. I mean, there's two Sauls and a few Jesuses, right? I mean, Jesus, Bar Justus, or whatever his name was. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, there's a Jesus in Romans chapter 16. I mean, the word Jesus is found 917 times in the Greek. There's a couple of James, and there's a couple of Jacobs. I mean, I think the father of Mary was named Jacob. There's a couple of Josephs also, the Old and New Testament. In the Old and New Testament, right? But there's only one Abraham. So this is Abraham. This is our spiritual father. You understand what I'm saying? Now it says, and right after that, we don't know how many years, we don't know how many days. Died. Then, dead is being used to translate then. Died. And that's Thanen died. Let me just poke the bear here because then my phone is gonna die. Aorist indicative active. This is regular AIA construction. You understand? And Abba is here. So Tanersko, I die. Apethanen. And this is that's an epsilon, that's an augment there. And this is second aorist, obviously. So that's just it. Apethanen. And there's a whole bunch of aorists, guys. There's a whole bunch. Not like the genitive, but there's a whole bunch of uses of the aorist. There's a lot of different kinds of aorist construction of uses of titles for the aorist, if you will, designations, whatever you want to call them. There's a whole bunch of them. So So that's just the deal. What's the construction over there? Apathenesco. Okay, so that's just the deal. Now, did I talk about everything? The rich man is going to drop dead. Die then. Who? Now, it can't be, Lazarus dying twice. So it has to be the rich man dying. Also, also is the giveaway. Kai, ha, the rich man. The rich man. He died. Rich man. Plusias. Maybe his name was Plusias. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Could call him Plusias for now. Mr. Plusias. Mr. Rich. Okay, and Greek word kai was buried. Doesn't even say that he was carried by the angels. He was just buried. Okay, you understand? That's just a deal. Okay, etafe. Etafe, spelled out E-T-A-P-H-E. Etafe. Epsilon tau. Alpha phi eta. Now he's called eta. He died. Mr. Plusias died. He died. He thought he wasn't going to die, but he died. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't thinking about death. He wasn't thinking about himself. He wasn't thinking about God. He wasn't thinking about Lazarus. He was just living in splendor. In the life of luxury. Eating champagne. Drinking champagne and eating caviar. Maybe he was eating the champagne also. You understand what I'm saying? With all that food in his mouth. Didn't have a choice. What a sight, I'm telling you. He dropped dead. And his 5 brothers are now living in that house. Is that what I'm saying? That's just a deal. Hey, check out my battery, guys. I don't want it to go to 1% and then it's going to be annihilated. Unfortunately, that's the case. It's at 1%. So I better make part like 3 or 4 or something like that, whatever the case might be. Take care, guys. Okay, guys. Now, we're reading from Luke chapter 16. We left off the Greek at verse 22. Now, I want to read the English, though, okay? Because, the Greek interlinears, okay, have broken rhythm, okay, to us English-speaking people. Broken rhythm. Not to them, but to us is broken rhythm. I call it broken rhythm because, things are like backwards to us and forwards, you understand? So that's just the deal. So I want to really get the thrusts of this verse because this is quite important. A couple of things happened here that happens to everybody, the rich and the poor. Well, let's get at it. This is an NASB. Now, people may say, well, Angelo, the NASB is not the greatest translation of all. Why do you use it all the time? Well, I know it's not the greatest translation of all. It's one of the greatest, though, ever done. Absolutely. Very dynamic equivalent translation. Very good. But I know it's not the end all be all. But the thing is, the app is very easy to use. Okay, I have some apps on the phone that are not so easy to use that I wish I could use, like the Net Bible, the new English translation. I mean, that's very respected by Dan Wallace. Now, if Dan Wallace respects the translation, okay, then you're talking about a great translation. So he doesn't really like a lot of English translations, And being a Greek scholar, that's going to happen. But the I wish I could use the Net Bible, but it's hideous. It's a hideous app. It's very hard to get in and out and stuff like. Once you're in it, it's wonderful, but it's just to get in it. It's a big waste of time. It really is. You have to take a picture of it before you do the study, and that's just the deal. Now, I can go in and out and stuff like that, and it's very easy to use this app. So, coupled with the fact that it's a great translation, number one, number two, that the app is great. Well, I mean, So that's just a deal. Now, so let's get to this verse. It says over here in verse 22, And I just want to pray, since it's another day, Holy Father and merciful God, please continue to bless us and cleanse us of our sins. And I thank you for a new day that I don't deserve, for everything that I received so far this morning. And make this study a very profitable one for thy children and the people yet to be born and the people that will not have any excuse. In Jesus' name, multiply the study. Amen. Well, this is the coup de grace. This is the key. So let's check it out. It says over here, now the poor, okay, now the poor man, we saw the Greek, now the poor man died and was carried away by the angels to Abraham's bosom or chest. And the rich, Greek word plusios, and the rich, you could call him Mr. Plusios. I mean, he doesn't have a name over here. Okay. Anyway, and the rich man also died and was buried. Let's go to the Greek. Okay. For the Greek geek. And was buried. That's the end of it. You understand what I'm saying? Let's check this out. So I don't want to look at everything again, but I want to look at this word buried. You understand? You see the Greek word for plusios up there, spelled out B, typifying a temple, a Greek temple. Lambda, sometimes pronounced lambda. So I don't know why. I know there's a, and according to American Greek, but so I don't know why people say lambda. It's just really lambda, but anyway, P lambda, Omicron and Upsilon, nowadays called Omicron and Epsilon, like I said before, with a cube marker. The cube marker is for accent purposes. Okay, so blue. It's not blue. It's blue. Okay. Sigma, Iota, Omicron, nowadays called Omicron, and final sigma. You may say, what's a final sigma if you're not seeing this? Well, there's different versions of the S in Greek. You have 3 of them. You have a capital sigma, an intervocalic sigma that tends to drop off sometimes. A little tiny sigma, little S. Sometimes it doesn't drop off. Sometimes it's very important. It's a very important letter in Greek. The sigma is critical. You see it in the aorist tense, morphine. How do you know something is a completed action in past time? Well, I mean, not all aorists are created equal, but basically, okay, the sigma and the alpha is used. That's called first aorist, okay? That's one of the clues that you're in the aorist tense, okay? Along with the augment, if you're talking about past time. The augment is like an E that the Greeks put in the beginning of the word if it begins in a consonant, okay? You understand what I'm saying? So they put a epsilon there. That's their ed, if you will. Okay, if you want to put it like that to remember it. So they put an e in the beginning of the word. We put ed in the end of the word, or just a d sometimes. Anyway, like you put liked, you just put a d there. If you write it out, you'll put the ed inadvertently anyway. You know what I'm saying? So the sigma is critical. What a critical letter. It means to synchronize, and then you could use it as as your future tense formative. Just a sigma, nothing else. Okay. Now, I mean, if you have a root that ends in a particular letter, like a P or a K sounding letter in Greek, well, then you could use a letter that has those 2 sounds. Okay, meaning the K sound, and then you're using something that has an S sound for your future tense formative. Well, you can use it to see. If you have something like blep, like blepo, you just you could keep the integrity of the P, the second P sound, and use the sigma, but you don't have to do that. You could just use the C. A PS letter in Greek, So I'm just saying that you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone by using one letter that has 2 sounds in Greek. Because anyway, you use a sigma for the future tense formative. Now liquids, you use the epsilon sigma, they drop off. You're not going to even see that in the liquid. You don't even have to. They don't even drop off. They don't even drop off. I mean, it did, so you don't have to write it, but you don't drop them off. You don't write them down, and then you this, and it's just like you're not typing everything out. We say they drop off, but it's just like in Greek we say, for example, the tau reduplicates. Well, it didn't reduplicate, okay, because it wasn't duplicated before. Okay, we just say that. Okay, we call it reduplication, but it didn't. But you know what I mean? It didn't do it the first time. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I don't know why we say reduplication, but the is what I don't get. Duplicates, okay, fine. But reduplicates, that's kind of strange. Sometimes, just like when Mao said, I don't know why they call it a hortatory, subjunctive. Why don't they call it the subjunctive or exhortation? Sometimes things don't make sense in Greek the way we put it linguistically, like lingo-wise, But anyway. But the sigma is absolutely critical and essential. Okay. Now let's get back to this. Plusias. That's just the deal. He was rich. And what's this over here? Right? The rich man. It says over here, where's the thing over here? Let me see. Rich man. Okay. Plusias. And was buried. AI passive construction. He was very active in doing a lot of stuff in his chapter. Stuff in his mouth. Well, I mean, it's good to eat. I'm not saying. I mean, listen. But when you're not sharing, at no point in your life, it becomes sin. You can stuff your mouth all you want as long as you give thanks to God and share. But this guy did neither or neither. I mean, he didn't do anything like that. He didn't share. The guy was outside of his gate, and he couldn't listen. He had to be carried to be outside of the gate of this rich man. He had to be carried to Abraham's bosom. I mean, this is, listen. It's kind of strange that that Lazarus had to be carried to Abraham's bosom, and the rich man had to be carried to Sheol. In and of themselves, they couldn't travel to Sheol on their own, even though the distance is not really that far. I mean, right below me, thousands and thousands and thousands of feet. Okay, all right, maybe even miles. I don't know how what's the traveling distance from point A to point B, Sheol. Somebody could probably tell you that. It doesn't even believe in the Bible. Okay, the distance between the planet surface and the core. Probably Mr. Spock could. You know what I mean? We love Spock, but I mean, let's just face it. I mean, he said a lot of things that were a little disturbing. Okay, and I got to get into that. As a matter of fact, Leonard Nimoy was a Jewish person. He was a Jew. And he played the role of Mr. Spock. But I can tell you this, that the core, the center of the middle, the heart, Greek word kardia, the katotera meri, the lower regions of the earth. Okay, Matthew chapter 12, verse 40, and Ephesians, Ephesim in Hebrew, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 9. Katotera meri means the lower parts, the lower regions. You understand what I'm saying? Of the earth. Of the earth there, and of the earth in Matthew. Okay, that's the genitive of place. Taste gaze, you understand? He was buried. It's in the passive. Okay? Now, it doesn't say that he was carried. Okay? It doesn't say he was carried by the angels, but the angels did carry him. I mean, but didn't tell him, like I said before, don't fear. It's a guarantee that the angels, okay, you understand? When they carried him to the other portion of Sheol, West Sheol, or West Hell, the non-paradise of Sheol, if you will, the section that contains touch. The angels didn't say anything to this guy. Now, I listen. I said before, if the angels don't tell you, I don't care who's out there listening to the study. If they don't tell you, do not fear, you are in trouble, because you have to hear those words. Now, if you hear those words, do not fear. Well, just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride, because you know you're saved. There's a 100% guarantee, like never before, that you're saved. Well, we can get the witness of the Spirit here, that we are the sons of God. But man, when your soul is carried to be face to face, pania, palni, prasopan, Hebrew and Greek respectively. I mean, when you're face to face with Jesus, you have to before that you have to have a little flight. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? You have to have a ticket in your hand. And you didn't purchase the ticket. That's the problem. You understand what I'm saying? The salvation is free. The ticket has been paid for to tell us die by Christ. The ticket of his blood. So that's just the deal. So this rich man probably was carried. Okay, he was buried. That's the first time you saw something in the passive when it has to do with the rich man. The passive. Everything else was in the active. The dressing up in splendor, the enjoying the days, every stinking day. Everything was in the active, and now he died and is in the passive. Somebody took his body and buried it. You understand what I mean? That's the end of it all. Passive construction in Greek. Here it is. That's just a deal. Aorist indicative passive was buried. He didn't bury himself. Okay, that would be in the middle. That's just a deal. But this is in the passive, the purely passive construction. Somebody did it to him. He was buried. You see? His 5 brothers are there enjoying the house after he died. He said to Abraham, he'll send Lazarus. Why? Why didn't you invite Lazarus into your house? You see? He wanted Lazarus to go back to... now he wants Lazarus to go to the house. That's not brought up in studies. It has to do with Luke. He wants Lazarus to go to his house, but he didn't want Lazarus to go to his house when Lazarus was sick upon the planet surface. It's kind of cheap. It's kind of a little bit too late. You understand what I'm saying? He wants Lazarus to go to his brothers from the dead, because he knew that his brothers weren't going to believe in Moses and the prophets, okay? No, but Abraham, if somebody rises from the dead, comes back from the dead, they're gonna repent. Abraham said no. How many times you got to say no to these sinners? Oh, but this and but that. But now he wants to. He didn't invite him to the house before. He despised him. Lazarus. Look at this guy with saws outside of my gate. What's he doing there anyway? You understand what I'm saying? I'm over here eating in front of everybody. Right in front of the window just to make sure everybody could see me. You understand what I'm saying? And this Lazarus. Get him out. I'm rich. He's poor. This is nothing in common. But here it says there's something in common. They both died. I want to bring this up again. Lazarus, this is not brought up in Luke. I'm glad I'm studying this, man. A lot of stuff are not brought up, because people don't look at it all the way through and really think about it too much, the poor man. Oh, okay, he's poor, but he didn't deserve to go to paradise. You got to understand. Lazarus did not. I don't care how poor he was. I don't care how sick he was. I care, but not to the point of God's, snuffing out God's mercy. I will have mercy upon whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion upon whom I will have compassion. It's not for him who willeth or runneth, but God who shows mercy. Where's that at? What, verse 15 of chapter 9 of Romans? I mean, come on, man. Sometimes we forget that this poor man, okay, he was poor and sick, okay, I agree. I mean, he was pitiful. But he was pitiful also in his sins. He was a sinner. He didn't deserve paradise. He didn't deserve the park. He didn't deserve to go to a garden, okay, a luscious garden where there was light, okay, because in God there's no darkness at all. If I make my bed in Sheol, thou art there. Psalm 139, okay, fine. But he didn't deserve to go. He didn't have a ticket to go to Sheol on his day. He paid for it. No. That's just the deal. We don't bring that out. But let's look at the Greek, okay? Because we already spoke about that. So it was buried. So what's that? Well, let's look at the lexical form. Now, with some of you that are not familiar, the lexical form are always, when it comes to the verbal system, always in the present tense. Always. Now, they could throw in some goodies there, like George Rikerberry's Greek lexicon. He'll put the future tense in there, and maybe some other lexicons will put another tense, or whatever the case may be. But as a rule, a straitjacket rule, by the way, your main Greek headings will be in the present tense. Okay, present tense. Okay, they can be continuous. I'm just saying. Haptu is in the present tense. That's continuous. You understand what I'm saying? Don't keep clinging onto me, said Jesus to Mary, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Okay, I was busy in Sheol. I didn't go to him yet. I gave him my spirit. I committed my soul to him. But I mean, I have to ascend, and so I do believe that the second ascension, not the second ascension, but the first ascension, okay, was not recorded in John or in the other Gospels. Remember that he did things and said things that were not recorded. It says it even in the same Gospel, in the Gospel of John. Okay, that's not taught a lot. That's not taught almost at all. Norman Geisler didn't believe in it. Okay, that there was ascension before the ascension. No, I believe in it. That's because he said, "I go. Tell my brothers that I go to the Father, to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God." I mean, when he ascended, it doesn't need to be written and recorded. He said that listen. You go tell my brothers I'm going to the store. So it doesn't have to record in the story about Angelo that I went to the store. I'm talking to a woman, right? And I'm trying to make it as close as possible to the story of that's recorded in chapter 20 of the Gospel of Yohanan. You understand what I'm saying? And so I'm talking to this woman. I said, listen, don't keep on holding on to me. I know you're happy to see me. You haven't seen me in a while, but go and tell my family that I'm going someplace else. Okay? Bye-bye. And I laugh because the thing is that when I was debating Mark from Missouri, he was out of it. And obviously, he was taking medication, and I feel for him because he takes medication late at night or whatever. And so, in some of our debates and campaigns, I can't complain because I fell asleep in one debate. I fell asleep like 3 times. But at least I was out of it completely. I wasn't like debating like a zombie or saying something silly like this. And I said, okay, bye, Mark. And he said, bye. Bye. Almost like a child. I think it was funny. But getting back to this. Okay. He was buried. Somebody took him and buried him in the sand. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Now, probably it was in a tomb. Okay, it was they didn't bury him in the they didn't bury him in the ground, but probably a rich man's tomb. Okay, and in 1 year they would have came back and collected his bones and put it in an ossuary, the rich man's bones. Not probably, because he wasn't raised from the dead, but because I'm thinking about something else. But he was buried, and then in a tomb. He was left in a tomb. Okay, so they probably wrapped his body up, and with this and that and wrappings or whatever the case may be, and then they placed his body in the tomb, and they probably came like 1 year after that and collected the rich man's bones and put it in an ossuary with his name on it and stuff like that. And it was probably a family tomb, so I mean you would see some other ossuaries in there wherever that tomb is located, if it even exists. Okay, an ossuary is like oh boy, it's like three. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 feet long, or like maybe I don't know, 2 feet wide, something like that. I have to look at the measurements again historically, but that was the burial system at that time. Okay, they will let the body decompose. Okay, let me just make sure that I'm touching my screen, because then it'll dim out. Because sometimes when I talk, I keep my eyes closed and I don't know what's happening. Sometimes I keep on talking and it went dim, and the recording stopped a long time ago. So and I have enough battery power now to do the study, to finish it, I hope. I started at 75, but 75 on this battery, an old battery like this on this phone that has about like 3 years, is not like it was before. But so they would let the body decompose for about a year. Okay, so that's what they did with this rich man. They let his body decompose for about a year. Okay, so let's say he died in February. Okay, and then what we call February anyway. Incidentally, the year in the Jewish calendar is 5,786. Okay, that's as of 2026. Okay, the year 5,786 according to the Jewish calendar. Now we're at 2026, so I mean, whose calendar does God go by? That's why it was foolish setting up dates. 1994, the year 2000, the year 2011 is stupidity. He doesn't go by our calendar. If anything, he's going to go by the Jewish calendar, says somebody. You understand what I'm saying? The year 5,786. So obviously when 2000 came, God doesn't have to honor that. Okay, you understand? But getting back to the burial system, the ossuary, the stone box. So they will let the body decompose, and then so they let the body decompose of this rich man, and then they collected all his bones and put it in a stone chest. And that stone chest is someplace. It just hasn't been discovered yet. Okay, it is someplace, somewhere. You know what I'm saying? He's still in Shield though. 2,000 years after this account. Okay, you understand what I mean? Now, we don't know the timing of the story. We don't know if it happened before Jesus came to earth, or during his incarnation, or what. It's not in the future tense, so we know that it happened before Jesus told the story. Okay, so I mean, who was this rich man? I have no idea. He's not even named. But I can tell you something. What's coming up is very stark. It's going to give you a clue, an indication what kind of nationality he might have been. Okay, of the Greek word for child. Okay, that's a clue in and of itself, that he was a child of Abraham. So I mean, I want to get to that in verse 25. But over here, it says Thapto. It almost looks like an imperative, doesn't it? Like the mood of command, but it's not. It's kind of tricky because of the tau and omega. Tau and omega is one of the imperative morphemes, the mood of command. You know what I mean? The to, but that's not the deal. So you have over here thopto. So theta means divine, alpha means rising. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. And then the p I already told you about that. And then so actually the stem here, the present tense stem, is stopped. Okay, and then the omega is a first person personal ending for some people. For some people is nothing. Some people have it at OSA. So that'll be the paradigm for this thing. Okay, if you follow it through, So it means buried. I bury, actually. It says over here. Let's look at it. Let's look at the semantic range, or I call the semantic domain, or the semantic pool, I call it. The definition. Okay, to bury. Okay, that's it. That's kind of cheap. Okay, look at Mouse's complete expository dictionary of Old and New Testament words along with Vine's. You can see some more definitions probably in Strong's. A written out book of Strong's will probably have a deeper set of definitions. Church Berries, it's not vast, but it was okay. And then United Bible Society's Greek lexicon, look at that. I had a pocket one. I couldn't even read it for several years. I couldn't read it for about a decade. I bought it in 1994, actually, and I couldn't read it for a very long time. I just had it in the house. I should have brought it actually in my coat to the Philippines. If I would have done it over again, I would have brought small things like that in my coat. Or in the luggage. It wasn't so heavy. It's just too bad, that I didn't bring some of the things that you can't get again. Was Peter a pope? Obviously, the answer was no, and he brings it forth. Gives it a strong no. Julius Armanti, you can't get that again, unless you go to eBay maybe or something like that and get these books. I mean, it's just really, it's hideous, the decision that I made of not bringing some of these little tiny volumes with me in the plane. But you can't put you can't unscramble an egg, so you can't take milk off the floor and drink it. You understand what I'm saying? And put it like it was before. What's the lexical for? Well, did I spell it out already? I think I did, but I'll do it again anyway. Theta nowadays called theta. Alpha, you got the cube marker right there in the first syllable. So actually thop is the first syllable, thop, and then to. And so you got the P, and then got the tau nowadays called tough, and an omega. And omega is a critical letter in Greek. Absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. I mean, all of these letters are important, but man, there are some letters that really stand out. Omega is the Pac-Man letter, I call it, because it swallows up everything that's in the way. Okay, so I mean, it's used for it's not here, but it's used for a subjunctive. Morphine, the subjunctive is the mood of probability or possibility, like the may, if, and might, and all this other jazz. You understand what I'm saying? Critical letter in Greek. Absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. The theta can reduplicate in the perfect tense. The theta in and of itself nowadays called theta means divine. It's the first letter for God. Okay? The theta nowadays called theta. You understand what I'm saying? So alpha means rising. Is important in the word for resurrection. I mean, P is critical. It's the first letter in Pneuma, which can be translated spirit, the Holy Spirit, if you will, Pneumati, found and recorded in verse 18 of chapter 3 of 1 Peter. So, I mean, these letters are very critical. I mean, that's just it. So, let's look at the construction. It was buried. That's the end of it all. It says over here, the textual form, I call it the textual form, is, let me see, etafe. Etafe. Now, you would read Greek like an Italian would speak. Etafe. Seropoli. like that. Seropoli, like that. They would speak like that, Pospai, pospai. They sound like that. You could say in Greek, give me a cafe. Cafe means coffee in Greek. It's the same in the Philippines. It's the same in Spanish. I mean, cafe is kind of universal. You know what I'm saying? That's just a deal. Now, so there's epsilon, tau, alpha, a phi, and the phi is a ph in Greek, and eta nowadays called eta. Is an E class in biblical Greek, but an I class in modern Greek. Okay. Etafe was buried. That's just the deal. Etafe. You have the epsilon there. Actually, the stem changed from the first letter in the stem here went from theta to tau. Okay. So that's just the deal. And then the P went to phi. Okay. This is an aorist passive, though. Aorist passive construction. And that's just a deal. Now you have the augment there, epsilon there. Okay, this is an aorist indicative, so unit indicative. So I mean, you have the epsilon there as an augment. Okay. Now remember, I said that the epsilon is placed before a what, pointing out time. Okay, time. And Ekeruxen, actually, he preached. We have an augment over there that Jesus preached in Sheol. Well, we saw that already in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 19. You understand? Now, who did he preach to? Well, he preached to the Floodenites. So we went through that. Okay, so it wasn't like he was made alive, and when after he was made alive, he preached. No, how could he preach to the Floodenites after he was made alive? Meaning after he was raised from the dead. You understand what I'm saying? How can he go to preach? How can he go to preach to the Floodenites? If the Floodenites, if he was made alive, that means he was resurrected, and then he didn't go to Sheol again. So how can he preach to the Floodenites upon the planet surface if they weren't even upon the planet surface? It doesn't make any sense to NIV sometimes. NIV is a great translation, it's one of the greatest ever made, but the problem with the NIV is that they over-interpret, okay? You have to give some interpretation, you have to. You have to stick in some words here and there, continuously, or whatever the case may be, for the present tense. You can't draw it out in a subjunctive and an infinitive like that in your participle. So you have to stick in the word continuous sometimes. You have to, or keep on. He kept on doing this. I mean, that's what I would translate it. Keep on. So like, keep doesn't mean like for us in English nowadays, keep, it doesn't really mean guard. It means to continue to keep on eating, continue to eat, like that. It just have a different meaning in our English vocab nowadays. You understand what I'm saying? But getting back to this, the epsilon is here as an augment. It's like an ed in English. Etafe, okay? He was buried. Etafe, buried. Ossuary. But before that, before they collected his bones, he was already in Sheol. Before the rich man was collected, because the collectors they do come sometimes to collect. You understand what I'm saying? So they collected his bones and put it in a stone chest. Okay, that's how they used to bury in that time. And some ossuaries do. If you're asking, do they have ossuaries? They have hundreds of them. Scores of ossuaries by now. Absolutely. Caiaphas is the chief priest, high priest. Caiaphas, the one that scorned. I tell you, I ask you now, are you the Son of God? And he said, you said it. And you're going to see the Son of God coming in clouds of glory with great power. And he tore his robe like a bastard. Caiaphas, you understand what I'm saying? Ah! don't think he's turned his roles around in shield. You understand what I'm saying? If he wasn't saved. Because, I don't know. I mean, if he died unsaved, I don't know, man. Imagine meeting Jesus face to face and never being saved. To whom much is given, much shall be required. Oh, you preached in the streets. Remember me? Yeah, I remember you, you bastard. That's why you're going to hell. Because you didn't believe in me while I was in your face. Yeah, but I did this, I did that. I was the high priest. So what? Where's your ticket? Where's your wedding garment? Out you go. I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, you bastard. You see? They found his ossuary box, okay, in 1990. Near the temple site, as a matter of fact. So his box was found. The ossuary was found. The stone chest that contained, or contains. They probably didn't take it out. I mean, Caiaphas's bones, his remains. You see, everything ends, man. I was telling somebody about the most hated woman in America, Madeline Ojeda, that she was chief in taking prayer and the Bible out of school. I know she took prayer out of school around 1963 via the Supreme Court, of all things. And so the thing is that she did that, with her sons. Now, one of her sons repented, thank God, because in 1995, fast forward now, from 1963 to 1995, about 32 years after, she was murdered in Texas, along with her granddaughter, her favorite one, and her son that wasn't saved. I'm not going to go through all of it, but, she was strangled to death. And before she was strangled to death, before she was suffocated by her killers, she was yelling and screaming. Now, listen. Why was she yelling and screaming? Why was she scared? She was scared to death. Why? If there's no God, so why yell and scream? So what? Kill me, go ahead. As a matter of fact, I'll give you the rope. Go ahead, do it. I don't care. I got a hip replacement. My hips are hurting me and stuff like that. Go ahead. But she didn't say that. She was yelling and screaming, and she was horrified because she knew that she was going to go to hell. That's it. Sticking out her finger at God, her middle one, in a cartoon. F you, God. You see, that was her. It's not me. It's her. And she was doing that in a cartoon. F the church. F God. And now she's in Shield. Tacha. You see, it all ends. It ended for this rich man. It ended for Marilyn O'Hara about 2,000 years later. Taking prayer out of school in 1963. What to God that she would have died, when her mother wanted to kill her in the womb. What to God, though, man. Her mother knew that she was carrying some satanic being, in her womb. Some kind of a being that's satanic, such a dirty. You understand what I'm saying? She knew that she was carrying something like that, a demon, something that she fell down the steps. She wanted to fall down the steps to kill the baby, and the baby was still born. Madeline Ojeda. You see? She grew up and she didn't even know what she was. She didn't know that she was an atheist. She explained her plight. You understand what I'm saying? To this woman. And she said, I know, Marilyn, you're an atheist. That's what you are. I never knew that, Madeline O'Hara said. No, you're not a skeptic. You're an atheist. 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 Alpha primitive negates the what? You understand what I'm saying? Alpha primitive. Good old alpha primitive in Greek. You understand what I'm saying? Negating a what? The fool has said in his heart, no God. Literally in Hebrew. What, Psalm 14? And down the road. I mean, you can't make it up. Don't they ever learn? Stalin, Hitler, Napoleon, Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden died. You see? And now they're waiting for insult into injury. The lake of fire. And that's the end of it all. This guy lived in splendor for the last time, and existence, because there's no planning, there's no work, there's nothing like that in Sheol. That's another thing we have to look at. As a matter of fact, we have to see that it doesn't say there's no life in Sheol according to verse 10 of chapter 9 of Ecclesiastes. That's another thing we have to look at. I already did before in my No Annihilation series, but I want to look at it again. So let's go on to verse 23. Now it says over here, and in, okay, so you have and there, Kai, and in is n, okay, in Greek, okay. So n has a vast array of meanings in Greek. I mean, this idea that n only means n. I mean, a Jehovah's Witness told me actually debate and campaign, Mark. He said, "Oh well, n means in. It doesn't mean by." Come on, what Greek lexicon? What Greek studies have you been studying? You understand what I'm saying? Do you know that n can be translated with an articular infinitive as a when or while? Give me a break, man. Know your stuff first. Don't tell me you have a 10,000-foot sword and you come into a debate. You understand what I'm saying? And you tell me that you've been improving your Greek and stuff like that, and you don't know nothing. You didn't even know what case was arche in John 1:1. Come on, man. You don't even know the case? And then he doesn't even know the article that would be there if it needed to be there. Te. He said ha. I wasn't talking about ha. Actually, he says ho. Now, what's that? I know some older Bible teachers used to say ho. It's not ho, man. It's either o or ha. I mean, come on, man. It's disgusting. Denying Jesus. You don't even know nothing about nothing. 10,000-foot sword. And by the way, nobody can carry a 10,000-foot sword and wield it anyway in war. Oh, let's get to this. And in, okay, now it's going to have the word for Hades here. Okay, Ade. Now, Ade is found and recorded in verse 27, I think, right? In Acts of the Apostles, Apostle chapter 2, and then is recorded also in verse 10 of Psalm 16 in English and Hebrew, and in some Greek Septuagints have it in 16, but some Greek Septuagints, which is known as the LXX. L means 50 and X means 10, so LXX means 70. Some Greek Septuagints has it in Psalm 15 though. Okay. So I think the Celestial Brenton Greek Septuagint that I had in my house. There you go again. I should have brought that. But that's easy to get. You could get that on Amazon, I think, still though. I mean, so that I actually had it in Psalm 15. So Ade is there also, I think, in the dative also though. Okay. But I think it's in the accusative case. I think in Acts, because it has a new there, Adain. Okay, so that might be something there. So Hades. Hades is the idea of Sheol, the abode of the dead. Okay, and they got another Greek word for Gehenna. That has to do with hell. Excuse me, guys. Gehenna. Everybody knows that Gehenna was known to be in the south side of Jerusalem, as a garbage dump. Okay, garbage dump for actual bodies of animals and human beings. And unfortunately, there were sacrifices done in the Old Testament. And Jeremiah points that out by God, that they would burn their children and cast them into that place. And that's one of the reasons why God wasn't going to hear the prayer of Jeremiah for those people. Okay, so but Sheol, Hades is really translating Ade here. Okay, Ade, Alpha, Delta, Eta, Ade, actually, because of the acute marker of, actually Hade, actually, sorry about that, guys. It's a rough breathing marker there. So it sounds like Hades, Hade. Okay, so Hade, alpha with the rough breeding marker and the cube marker. So ha. And then you have delta and then eta. Now they call eta with the iota subscript. So Hade. Sorry about that. Now let's go now in Sheol. Okay, having lifted up, and this has to do with the rich man. This is an APA. This is a participle, the aorist participle active. Okay, so he was very active in lifting up. So I thought that there's no life in shit. There's no life after death. The Jehovah's Witnesses always like to which one and complain. You guys believe in life after death. We don't. And if they say that they do, it's just lip service. It's lip service. It's lip service with Jesus. Jesus. There's no Jesus now, according to the witnesses. He's our Angel Michael now. Not Jesus. Jesus is dead forever. Dead, said Charles St. Russell in volume 5, Study of the Scriptures, on page 454. It's just lip service. They don't believe in King Jesus. They believe he's deader than a doornail, man. You know? But how can you put the Prince of Life, the author of life, to death anyway? Verse 15 of chapter 3. Aproxes apostolon de Acts of the Apostles. You can't put the author of life to death. You understand what I'm saying? He has an indestructible life. Verse 16 of chapter 7 of Hebrews. How can you put somebody who said, how can you put him to death eternally? If he said, I am the way, Greek word hadas, I am the truth, aletheia, and I am the life, Greek word zoe. Can't put life to death though, man. You could put the flesh to death, yes. But not Jesus' life. His actual life, his soul, his spirit. You understand? You understand, right? But you don't understand. That's the ever learning and never coming to the truth. Twisting the scriptures until you understand. But let's get to this. It says over here, okay, having, okay, lifted. Now, lifted will be the verb. Having will be the sort of the helping verb that you put the ing on, in your translation. Okay. Now, this is an aorist participle active. So let's check out the morphemes. So you have over here eparas, okay, eparas. And so it's just no. The lexical form is actually okay, pyro. But you see the iota sometimes a lot in these present tense forms. The amy, see the iota there. Compensatory, lengthening. Sometimes you see that, they'll add an iota like that. You understand what I'm saying? I believe in the word for haste. I think they did that. Okay. So I mean, the stem is hen. So I mean, it's just from henos. From the genitive. You could take out the omicron and the sigma and come out with hen. That's the stem. So how do you come up with ace, haste? Well, now the sigma. You press a sigma against the nu and it dropped off. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of saying S, I mean, they put a iota in the middle of the sigma and the epsilon. So and then in rough breeding markers you have ace. That's how that happened. Yep, that's just a deal. Now having lifted up. Okay, having lifted up. It says over here, eparas. Having lifted up. This is a participle. You understand what I'm saying? Eparas. So that's just a deal. This is a nominative masculine singular construction along with an APA construction. After an APA construction, aorist participle active. So he's very much active in Sheol. Very much active in Sheol. Just like Jesus was active in Sheol and preaching. To the Floodanite, he was active. AIA construction found recorded in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 19. Ekeruxen. That's an AIA construction. He was very active in preaching and proclaiming the good news to those sinners that died at the time of Noah's construction of the ark. You know what I'm saying? That's just the deal. All mercy, man. God went to the worst sinners in the Old Testament, the worst of the worst. I mean, the worst. He didn't go to the Philistines. He didn't go to that chamber, that the side of that fulake, that prison. He didn't go to the people of Jericho that were in a shield for a very long time. He said, "The hell with them." He didn't go to Sodom and Gomorrah, being captive, held captive until that great day. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't go there. I mean, he go to the Canaanites. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? He didn't go there. No. He didn't go to the Babylonians. He went to the worst of the worst. See, that's typical. I mean, he went to the worst of the worst, the Floodanites of all people. I mean, who started the ball rolling. The ones that were so bad that God said, I mean, I gotta kill all of them. I gotta get rid of all these bastards, mixing themselves up with demons as having children and stuff like that. Now, trying to mess up the messianic line through demonic activity. I gotta get rid of those bastards. But then he went to them. That's mercy, man. To save imagine you talking to the worst enemy. And not only just talking to them, but dying for them. That's what Jesus did. You understand what I'm saying? While we were yet enemies, Christ died for us. Romans chapter 5. He lifted up his eyes. It says over here, being in. Let me see. Now, where's his eyes over here, though? Let me see. Did I skip something? Yeah, I did skip a little bit over here. So I'm going to go backtrack. I lifted up the eyes. Now, the eyes is, you have tus there, so that's accusative. That's easy. There's accusative article there. Tus tas ta from outside of the paradigm, ta with an alpha. And then eyes is ophthalmos. That's in the accusative construction. The accusative case is the case of limitation as the extent of the lifting up was not the hands, was not the feet, was not the head, but was the eyes. The eyes were lifted up. That's the case of limitation as the extent. Okay. The genitive is the case of limitation as to kind. What kind of a kingdom? What kind of a heart? Says Julius R. Manting in his great book. You understand what I'm saying? It's a great book. The only thing that needs to be, not the only thing, but there needs to be changed. Some things here and there, but punctiliar. It's a great commentary. They should just make it. Dan Wallace and Mount should preserve that, just like they want people to preserve their writings. What if something pops up that's not true in Mount's Basics of Biblical Greek or whatever the case may be, Beyond the Basics, a book that Dan Wallace did? What, you going to throw it away? All that work for nothing? No. Julius R. Manting did that in 1950, published that in 1950. And then, and punctiliar has changed. I understand that, and some other things, okay? But make the charts new and stuff like that. Or what? They did it for that bastard? What bastard? The second president of the Jehovah's Witnesses, man. Millions Not Living Will Never Die. I think it's brand new. I had that book in the house. To expose it, especially by pages 88 and 89, the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were going to return, and then they were dead. But forget about that. I don't want to sidetrack. But that book is as good as it's beautiful. Meaning the cover. I'm talking about the cover, the pages, the stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. Not the stuff written and recorded inside. I mean, we do that for people that are listen, that are like that, and then we don't. And then we do. We make things new again. I mean, so I don't want to say that we never do, but not for everybody. I mean, make that manual brand as good as new. make some beautiful charts, some computer charts, and some make it glossy and make it classy and make it hardcover or whatever the case may be. Make it nice, man. I mean, so what? Some stuff has changed. Just add your 2 cents into it, man. Goodness gracious, don't throw the baby out and the bathwater at the same time. Don't throw everything out, including the tub. I think you should be honored like that. Don't leave it like that. I mean, that you just forget the guy. Julius Armenti was a great Greek scholar for decades. Goodness gracious, and it has a lot more things in order than the scholar that was his teacher. Anyway, let's let me see. Let me see. Tous, okay, tous and ophthalmos, okay, the eyes. And that's the same word recorded for every eye shall see him. You understand what I'm saying? In verse 7 of chapter 1, I believe, in the book of Revelation. Ophthalmos, actually. All right. Now, he lifted up those eyes, okay, of him. Being in, now let me see, what did I skip again? Of him, okay, Altu. Now, Altu is from Altas, and that's a third-person personal pronoun. Has gender, has case, has number, and all that jazz. You understand what I'm saying? Person, second-person personal pronouns like ego and su don't have that. Don't have any gender. That's kind of easy. Being, and so that's a present participle active. Being. Okay, look at this. Huparchon. Huparchon is the same construction, as a matter of fact, not even a different construction. So you got Huparchon in verse 6 of chapter 2 of Philippians, and Huparchon will be here. Exactly the same construction. It's not in the same construction found and recorded in verse 6 of chapter 3. You know, silver and gold have I none. Have is that the word, let me see the lexical form. Let me see. Huparcho, and that would be the lexical form there. There's a different construction when Peter says silver and gold have I none. That's the same word, but it's in a different construction than huparchon that's recorded here and in verse 6 of chapter 2 of Philippians. You know, has let me see, has and marfe theu huparchon, I believe is the clause there. In the first clause of verse 6 of chapter 2 of Philippians. You understand what I'm saying? Who being in the form of God. You see, who being in the form of God, the form, being, okay, will be huparchon. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So over here is the same construction, actually. So, So huparchon is found out. I love this word, by the way, huparchon, you know. And then the other word, labon, is another present participle active construction that has to do with Jesus' second nature that he took, taking the form of a dulu, of a slave or of a bondservant. You understand what I'm saying? Form will be in the accusative case. I think Marfain there would have knew in verse 7 of Philippians chapter 2. So huparchon for his first nature is subsisting in his first nature, which I call nature A or nature 1, and then labon. Labon. Did I say something else? But labon, actually taking. I don't think I even mentioned it, but anyway, labon. It has the omega and a nu there. That's an active participial morpheme. Like in Haon, you know, the great Haon statement found and recorded of God, eternally existing, subsisting, if you will, you know, it's better for God, said R.C. Sproul. Huparchon, so this is wonderful right here, being in a torment. being in torment, he sees, and that's in the present tense. He sees, and that's that harao there. No, let me see. That harao. I think that's harao. Yeah, harao, the famous harao, and hara actually there. See, he sees hara is in the present form. And then when you get to the future tense, you got ops. Okay, a completely different sem. Ops. Okay, you put the sigma there, press with the p, so you got the c, so you got ops. There for the future. So it's just completely different there. So I think I went too fast though. So this is the rich man lifting up his eyes. Let me just clarify that. And then being, okay, huparchon. So that's upsilon with the rub-braiding marker says hu, not upi. Alpha with the cube marker, ro. Don't say ro, that's very lazy for the Greeks. Chi, omega, and nu. Huparchon, being, okay? And I already told you the lexical form. In, okay, being in, and that's n there. And then torment. So he was in torment, some kind of a torment, but it wasn't like a fire. He could still speak. This was what baffled me, and still baffles me, I guess. How can somebody be in torment have a conversation? He's having a very logical conversation, not yelling and screaming, having a very logical conversation, reasoning things out, stuff like that, disagreeing, almost having a debate with Abraham. No, but Father Abraham, I mean, when you're in torture to such a degree that you can't even speak, or you can't speak. But this man can literally speak, though. He's thinking, he's speaking. I mean, he doesn't have his physical mind. He doesn't have his physical eyes, but he's still looking. So this is the thing. Remember in 1 Samuel chapter 28 and verse 13, the medium saw, okay, Samuel coming out of the earth. And then it goes on to say that Saul said, "What is his appearance?" Well, I mean, he still had this appearance of a robe. So whatever you die in, that's the appearance you're gonna be in. Okay, all right. So that's just the deal. Now, also, he didn't have his physical eyeballs, but he could still yet see. So that's amazing in and of itself. And then he could still speak. And he doesn't have his voice box. He doesn't have his vocal cords. He doesn't have a mouth. Physical stuff anyway. He doesn't have any of that. He didn't have any of that. And he still doesn't have any of that. And he can still speak. Meaning Samuel. So I mean, this man doesn't have his physical eyes. I mean, that's upon the planet's surface, okay, in a tomb someplace, and then all the rest of his body, okay, Greek or soma. He doesn't have any of that along with him in Sheol, but yet he can speak to Abraham. He can lift up his spiritual eyes. And he has no kick, like I said before in my English commentary of this section, because if he lifted up his eyes and spoke to Abraham, why didn't he lift up his eyes from his kitchen table and speak to Lazarus and invite him in the house and feed him? You understand what I'm saying? Why? See, this is the problem. He's doing a lot of stuff that he should have done, okay, you understand what I'm saying, with Lazarus. He should have spoke to Lazarus. He should have respected Lazarus. He respected Abraham, said, Father Abraham. That's respect. He didn't respect Lazarus, though. He didn't invite him in. He didn't feed him. He didn't cure him. He left him outside the gate for dogs to lick. That's disgusting. That's why he's there. He's still there. As a matter of fact, this bastard. You understand what I'm saying? Huh? He's a bastard. That's what it was. It says torment and let me see. Torment is basa noise. Basa noise. Okay, torment. Basanos. Let me see. Basa noise. Sorry about that. Now, that's in the dative, the Omicron Iota Sigma, or just a Iota Sigma is pointing out that. Okay. Okay. So that's just it. I was just thinking of twice ties twice. So you know, the Iota Sigma is all across the board there. Twice ties twice in those articles there. So Iota Sigma is the case ending here for the data plural. Basanois, you understand? It's spelled out Basanois. Basanois. Okay, torment. And then he let's look at that word before. Let's look at that word. It's attacked by a 931. 931 of Strong's. Let's check it out. Definition. Okay. Let me see over here. Touchstone. Let me see. A touchstone. Definition. Dark stone. Okay, used in testing metals. Let's see. Examination. Okay, by torture. Oh, this is something, huh? Torture. I mean, don't get me wrong. This guy was suffering, but at least he could speak. I don't think that there's nobody going to be speaking in a lake of fire. That's going to be even more horrible than this. Not absence of being, but the quality of being, says Vines. Not the absence of being. I think that he was talking about a different Greek word there. He was talking about Gehenna. But nevertheless, the true statement remains. Not an absence of being, but the quality of being. Remember, the quality of being of this man was completely altered by death. No more is he dressing in purple. No more. Now, he probably was dressing in purple. Who knows? Maybe he died like that. To add insult to injury, maybe he's dressed in purple and shield. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? So I take that back. If he died I don't know if he died naked or if he died in his splendor. So he carried that to shield, absolutely, but not the real garment, but the appearance of it. If he died having that robe on or whatever the case may be, whatever fine linen he had, if he had it on, he's wearing forensics around his soul. So he can't which one and complain about God. Oh God, why am I here? No, look at the appearance. Look at your appearance. You died in your robe or whatever the case, in purple, as a matter of fact. So you know, it's like purple rain. You understand what I'm saying? You're dressed in. Listen, you can't appeal. It's just like a murderer coming into court, just caught off the street with the gun in his hand. Or even like this, he said, it's just like, right? Somebody stealing a coat, sheepskin or something like that, or whatever the case may be. He doesn't take it off. He's arrested. They don't take it off when they put him in the can, and he doesn't take it off all this time. You understand what I'm saying? He's going through the procedure of going to cut, and he still has it in court. And then he says, what he's going to say? Oh, I never stole the coat? And he has the coat on right in front of the judge. So that's probably what's happening here. He's probably, if he didn't die naked in a bathtub or something like that, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, he died with the stuff that he had, living the lifestyle that he had. So he can't which one and complain and shield. And he's probably going to carry that along into the lake of fire. So at the great white throne, he's going to have his robe on. So you can't bitch, whine, and complain and say, God, what are you doing? Why are you sending me to the lake of fire? Look at your robe. Can't you remember that you gave nothing to Lazarus and why you had that on? You see? Huh? You see? Can't bitch and whine and complain in front of God at the great right at the throne us. What's your evidence, God? The stuff you have on. But now he's going to be butt naked in the lake of fire. So I think the robe is going to, the appearance of that robe is going to be stifled by his naked body. But now, I mean, Abraham, he's looking at him, and I never thought about this before. That's why it's good to pray. He's looking at him. If he died, like Samuel died with his robe on, like that. If he looked like an old man. He said, "Is an older man. It's an old man." I mean, so he died in his the appearance that he had while dying. Okay, he took it to Sheol, meaning Samuel. Well, I mean, the same thing happened to this man. So Abraham is going to look at him later on in this chapter and say, "You had your good things. As a matter of fact, you're dressed in one of the things that you used to have." And that's why there's no argument. Why isn't this man arguing with Abraham? Well, the evidence is too stark and clear. He never even argued one time. I shouldn't be here. This and that. No, go and send Lazarus and tell my brothers. I've got 5 of them, by the way, in my father's house, and tell him tell him to go over there so they can come here. Because if I was judged, they're going to be judged, rightly so. See. I mean, overnight, he joins the American Bible Society. You understand what I'm saying? This rich man, this bastard. You see? It's too late for that, though. Moses and the prophets. All right, now, it says torment. Torture.